Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. Collectibles and alternative investments are having a bit of a moment as speculation spills over beyond just boring old stocks. To recap, in just the last few days, we've seen a few things happen. That would include a Tom Brady card selling for a record $1.3 million. We saw an NFT for a digital collage from an artist no one had really heard of just a few months ago in Beeple selling for $69 million. And the crypto that sparked all digital speculation, Bitcoin topping a $1 trillion market cap yet again. But it can be tough out there to figure out which alternative investments are worth chasing. But that's exactly what our next guest is focused on. Slavin Rubin is the co-founder of Vincent, a startup that helps people find alternative investment opportunities in everything from real estate to wine. And he joins us now. And Slav, I mean, it's interesting because it seems difficult for maybe first-time alternative investors out there to really know what's worth it and really even know what opportunities might exist. So talk to me about what you're seeing on your platform in helping people navigate that.
Absolutely. Alternatives really became something that the public can start investing into about 10 years ago, but it's really heated up in the last few years. Now it's massively fragmented and confusing. There's hundreds of different platforms to pick from, whether it's for sports cards, wine, like you mentioned, litigation finance, real estate, or crypto. So we created Vincent with vincent.com to really become the on-ramp, the entry point of how you navigate all of the options in one place. Instead of having to go to dozens of platforms to do the research, we could do it in one place and customize those deals for you in terms of the deal flow. So we just launched in November, and we already have over 50,000 investors that have used the platform, and we have $2.5 billion of alternative investments available for you to look at and invest into.
Slava, Zack just walked us through some of the incredible price tags we have seen on auctions, whether it's Beeple's NFT or the Tom Brady card. I mean, what's your sense of where the money is coming from? It feels like there is a lot of what some would call sort of funny money that's floating around. Where are the inflows? Are these traditional retail investors? Are they institutional investors? What are you seeing on your platform?
Yeah, and just to add to your timeline, just yesterday, the equity crowdfunding laws just got updated from a $1 million cap to a $5 million cap. And one entrepreneur within 12 hours was able to raise $5 million from over 7,000 investors without going to one VC as part of that process. So yes, there's a lot of money right now on the sidelines. People are much more interested to get into these alternatives, whether it's for profit or for passion. And between COVID, the savings rates going up, the interest rates staying low, I definitely believe there's going to be this continued inflows of money. All of the money that's coming on Vincent is all from the individuals. So you could be unaccredited, just any amount of money that you have, you can invest $100, or you could be accredited over $1 million in net worth or $200,000 salary and investing into the much bigger investments. It's up to you. I think institutions are going to be moving more and more into alternatives. You originally saw this with real estate, venture, more recently with crypto, and you're going to see this more and more with the other asset classes that we're talking about. And people will talk about, how am I diversified across alternatives?
Yeah, and when we talk about maybe how you guys, obviously you founded Indiegogo too, so you have experience in kind of navigating the on-ramp to projects. But when you look at how this is structured, what's the monetization route here for maybe helping find these things? Are you getting a piece of all the money routed, or what's the breakdown? Because there's a lot of things right now as I look through Vincent.com on the platform.
Absolutely, there's a lot. And our goal up front, we haven't been focused on monetization. We really want to be trusted by the investor and create that single point for discovery and diligence. And right now, if you Google alternative investments, it's hard to find a place to start. And we want to be that on-ramp. And if we're able to create that relationship, we think there's a lot of opportunity for the business.
It feels like there's especially a lot of hype around non-fungible tokens, these NFTs. We were talking the other day, it feels like everybody is issuing an NFT now. What's your sense on how sticky this is? Is this just a sort of an overnight thing that we're going to see pass in the next few months? Or do you think this is a new way of investing that's attracting a lot of people who traditionally wouldn't go this route?
So I personally am a fan. Obviously, this is not investment advice, but I'm also a guy who 30 years ago started collecting baseball cards and basketball cards and hockey cards that are now worth a ton of money decades later. And, I personally believe that as it relates to NFTs, this is the next wave of evolution with crypto. You first started with Bitcoin, then the protocols like Ethereum and other, then you got into DeFi as an application, decentralized finance, which has really built momentum about a year ago. And now NFTs are the next layer of how to use the blockchain. With all of that geekiness aside, an NFT is just a piece of art. It just happens to be that it's digital. Art is in the eye of the beholder. I wouldn't pay for a lot of things that were sold at Christie's decades ago for tens of millions myself. Somebody wants to pay for the Beeple 69 million. It's an incredible price tag. You fast forward, there's going to be people that make a lot of money on NFTs, and there's going to be people that lose a lot of money on NFTs. You had the internet 1.0 in the late 90s, early 2000s with public stocks. And out of that, you have Amazon and other incredible companies. You also had others that were left on the sidelines. So I think you need to be thoughtful and not just be a follower. Do your research. And, we think Vincent's a good starting point. Personally, I've been involved with NBA Top Shot for a few months. I love that product, but then I'm a sports fan and I love trading cards. And I look at this as, sports cards 2.0.
Yeah, we had the founder of NBA Top Shot on the show not too long ago, really, as that was as kind of coming off. And you mentioned kind of the breakdown between accredited investor opportunities out there. And that's kind of been always one of my gripes when we think about some of these opportunities on your platform, is that just by the laws of regulation, someone who might not have all that much capital is kind of locked out from participating in some of those earlier projects, and they don't get to see as much upside. Crypto and NFTs that you're talking about kind of open that door to level the playing field. But I'm curious kind of what you've seen as you've navigated this, and maybe the regulations, you mentioned some of those changing recently, but how much that still exists and why that might be the reason people are turning to collectibles where those rules aren't really that much in place when it comes to trading cards, NBA Top Shot, and some of the newer things.
I think you're nailing it. For the longest time, unless you were considered rich, which is the accredited investor threshold, you didn't get access to the best deals. Or the most interesting dynamic deals. You were stuck within what was publicly traded on the stock markets. And, we've learned through Robinhood and GameStop, there's a whole wave of people who just don't think that's a fair playing field. So they're looking for these opportunities. The great thing is in 2012, the Jobs Act was passed. 2016, the Jobs Act went live in the United States to allow unaccrediteds to be able to invest into these equity crowdfunding companies with $1 million cap for the raise. That literally just got changed yesterday up to a $5 million cap. I think this will be a game changer in the fundraising process for small businesses. Like I mentioned, we already had an entrepreneur yesterday raise $5 million in 12 hours. This is unprecedented. And I think 2021, you're going to see a lot more of this. People will want to invest $100,000, $1,000 into all these various options, whether it is into a small business, whether it is into crypto, whether it is into an NFT, whether it is into a sporting card. Like you said, there's a little bit less regulation there. It's easier to get access. And as these markets continue to get more liquid through secondary exchanges, I think it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, incredible to see how quickly the landscape is shifting right now. Slava, we'd love to have you back on the show as we see these changes happen. Slava Rubin, Vincent founder, joining us there.